Our very first story, the ongoing strike by the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association continues to greatly impact patients reporting to government health facilities across the country. Following a directive by the association, most nurses at these facilities have withdrawn outpatient services to protest a number of unresolved grievances, including a demand for better training and working conditions. The GRNMA on Monday set out a roadmap it says should culminate in a full-blown strike on November 14. Matilda Vamaga visited a number of facilities here in Accra and filed this report.
So I'm currently at the outpatient department here at the Kolebu Polyclinic. On a typical day, these pews are filled to its capacity, but same cannot be said of today. As we speak now, nurses in public health institutions, which includes this facility, are all on strike. They are demanding that government address their concerns before they resume full operations. Only emergency cases are being attended to. Among the issues raised by the nurses is what they described as government's failure to pay their salary arrears, posting of graduate nurses and midwives, charging of promotional fees, sale of upgrading forms, inadequate provision of logistics to government health facilities, and allowances of student nurses and midwives. Going by the roadmap, the association from November 1 to 6th wore red bands to work and proceeded with the withdrawal of OPD services after government failed to meet their demands. At the Kolebu Polyclinic, nurses at post were only attending to critical and emergency cases. The situation was no different at the Ridge and Adabraka polyclinics. Meanwhile, the National Association of Registered Midwives in Ghana has called on its members to go back to work at the various OPDs. According to the group, even though they support the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association's roadmap to demand better working conditions, they cannot abandon their clients, majority of who are pregnant mothers, nursing mothers, and their babies.
Well, joining us is learning the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission have been meeting to find a resolution to grievances raised by the GRNMA over its working conditions. The nurses have a schedule to also hold an emergency council meeting Friday to determine the next line of action. In the meantime, though, patients who visited the Tafo, Menchia and Komfanochi teaching hospitals in the Ashanti region on Thursday were asked to look elsewhere as nurses attended only to emergencies with the psychiatric department of the Tafo Hospital deserted. We hopefully will be getting onto the phone lines to get to speak with our correspondent in the region, but also the same situation. We have a similar situation in the northern region where correspondent Hashmin Mohammed, he joins us. Good evening to you, Hashmin. Hello, Hashmin.
Hello.
All right, so what can you report about the situation, the nurses' strike in Tamale?
Well, this morning, a lot of patients came to the facility with the anticipation that they attended to as doctors used to them each and every day. But many of them turned up and they were told that the nurses are on strike, and for that matter, they cannot be attended to. Some of them went to private facilities to seek medical attention. There were some who came from the rural parts of the area, and for them, they were found facility, and after this visited the facility, a lot of them were hoping that they will be attending. The nurses are still not attending patients in the OPD department.
All right, thank you very much, Hashmi Mohammed. Your line is the line to Tamale is not very good, but we also have correspondent Mohammed Nuruddin. He's joining us from Kumasi in the Ashanti region. Good evening to you, Mohammed. Now, tell us the situation there in the Ashanti region where we're told that patients are being asked to look elsewhere. Hello, Mohammed Nuruddin. Can you hear me? Yes. All right. So I'm asking about the situation in the Ashanti region. You were earlier on telling us that patients were asked to look elsewhere.
Israel, I went to 3 hospitals today. I went to government hospital, Tafu government hospital, and Konkonochi Teaching Hospital. At the government hospital, outpatient department-based services were all withdrawn. I mean, the psychiatric, the eye clinic, the family planning, the rehabilitation health center, postnatal, antenatal, and the main OPD was, I mean, virtually empty. 50 nurses and midwives that actually work at these places were either reassigned to the ward or the emergency, ward, or they did not even come to work today. The situation at the Tafu government was not different, and the hospital too was the same. I mean, nurses were actually attending to emergency cases.
All right, now, at the various hospitals that you said you visited, the 3 hospitals you visited, did you get the sense that authorities there were trying to put in some interventions to assist the patients who are showing up there?
Well, at the Tafu government hospital, I mean, doctors were actually attending to some patients, I mean, who were in queue. We are looking at the numbers that, I mean, the patients that I saw, it would be very difficult for the doctor that I saw there to be able to take care of them, take care of those number of patients I saw. And I mean, some of them came in the morning as early as 7 a.m. and they were still, they didn't, after the time I was at the hospital, they were not able to see the doctor. So it would be very difficult for them to be able to take all the patients at the hospital. And so when I went to Meshia Hospital, it was the same. I mean, doctors were actually attending to the patient. The numbers I saw there, I mean, it was going to be very difficult for them to, I mean, take care of them today.
All right, thank you very much, Mohammed Nuruddin. He's joining us with that report from Kumasi in the Ashanti region. We're taking a break now on Joy News Prime. We'll be back with more stories, mainly having to do with our election. Stay tuned. Right, before we get on with the election-related stories, a quick update on the nurses' strike. We're told that the meeting between the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission ended inconclusively. There are, however, some representations that were made to the nurses, which they say they are going to present to their members tomorrow, and then they would get back to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. So that's the update we have for you. Now, the Vice Chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament, Osea Meow, is asking the Electoral Commission to prudently use the few days left before the elections to ensure everything runs smoothly. The EC has been unable to comply with the requirement that it publishes the notice of polls 30 days to the elections due to the legal suits filed against it, and which were only resolved this week. Now, with 26 days to the polls on December 7, Mr. Samuel says he's worried the election calendar could be disrupted with serious repercussions if the EC does not do things right. He spoke with Beatrice Edu, who sought clarity on the constitutional requirement regarding the notice of poll publication.
I'm not sure about the 30 days, but I know that once a writ is issued, then the notice of poll would come as soon as practicable. So in that respect, I believe that the EC is within the regulations. But the concern is that the EC has brought onto itself serious delay serious delay programs, in the sense that when the EC should have applied the regulations the way it was designed, by giving the presidential candidates who submitted their nomination with some problems, instead of the EC doing the work within the time provided to the extent that she would be able to comply, or the nominees will be able to comply with the regulation. She didn't. And when they challenged within their rights, you see the EC also appealing. This was eroding time away from us to the extent that the High Court, the Supreme Court, had to come and save the situation. I was hoping that the EC was not doing that to trigger the provisions of Regulation 16, which regulation states that the EC can adjourn the poll for 30 days. So the way the presidential process was going, it became clear to me that if the Supreme Court had not stepped in, the EC would have had no choice but to trigger the provisions of Regulation 16 to adjourn the poll for 30 days. Then we would have been in constitutional crisis.
Well, the Electoral Commission, however, says it is within schedule to conduct the 2016 elections on December 7, having successfully resolved the presidential aspirants' disqualification saga. Many, including the Vice Chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee of Parliament, who we just heard a short while ago, have been worried the elections may have to be postponed as a result of the court cases brought against the Commission. The EC, following a Supreme Court directive on Wednesday, settled on the shortlist of certified presidential candidates. Addressing some editors on Thursday, the Commission's chairperson also addressed the issue of a possible recount of votes should the result be very close.
The forum was organized to allow the Commission an opportunity to engage editors of various media organizations on the plans of the Commission so far, as well as react to some topical issues. The EC chair addressing the forum said she is confident about the Commission's preparedness to organize a very credible election.
We are all working for the same purpose, to ensure that our country has peaceful, credible, transparent elections. And that is the priority of the Electoral Commission, that this year's elections will be even more transparent and even more credible and more accepted than the 2012 elections. And we keep working to make sure that every election sees improvements beyond the last election.
Madam Osei also justified the proposal for a recount of votes if the votes that separate two leading candidates is insignificant.
All we were saying was that it is better to be safe than sorry. The returning officer has a duty, and yes, a party can request it, and if the party requests it, at the polling station you can request for a recount. If you want another recount, then it has to move to the constituency collation center. But also at the discretion of the returning officer, if they think that it is too close, maybe one vote difference, 2 votes difference, may be safer for you to finish and then do it all over again just to check. That's all we're saying. And we do not know why there is such an issue about it. Should we go ahead and declare the first set of results we get?
She also described as untrue claims that the Commission intends to use the proxy voting and special voting exercise to rig the polls.
How we are going to use this to rig the elections still defies our imagination. The processes for early voting or special voting, as we call it, are very clear. They follow the same processes that we use for the general elections, because in our view, they are part of the general elections. The only thing is, because you have people who are going to be working at very different locations from where they normally work. You have media who need to cover the elections. You have security personnel, and of course, the staff that we deploy during the elections. It's not always possible to get electoral officials who are working at their own polling stations. And so we need to make provision for them to be able to vote.
The EC is meanwhile expected to release the notice of polls as well as print ballot papers for the presidential election in the coming days.
In other news, police say they are on the hunt for some unidentified men who were seen wielding weapons when MPP and NDC supporters clashed in Ododododo here in the Greater Accra region on Tuesday night. 3 persons were injured in the clash, and police say they have stepped up security in the area to prevent reprisals. Fifi Kumsing was in the community and filed this report.
Mabel, a retired civil servant, has lived in the Ododododo constituency since 1967. That's almost 50 years now. She's very familiar with the clashes between supporters of the 2 main political parties, the NDC and the MPP.
Well, we have got 2 NDC and NPP. So anybody who wins, that's all.
But Mabel's thought does not cut across this deeply divided community, split along political lines. Here at the Jamestown police station is this mail-in crowd, hundreds of angry supporters of the New Patriotic Party demanding the release of 3 of their colleagues arrested following Tuesday's clashes here. Around them are these well-armed police officers and some armored vehicles. Gunshots were heard, machete wounds sustained, and egos of people bruised. NPP parliamentary candidate for Ododo accuses the incumbent MP, Neelante van der Poy, of masterminding the attacks.
Neelante van der Poy was the NDC candidate. Ask yourselves what happened, and it was Kufuor placed an injunction on him. It was because of violence, because of electoral fraud. That is his personality, that is his language, that is his posture. His posture has been, his posture has been violence, his personality has been violence, his language has been violence.
Mr. van der Poy would not comment. Today, however, there is calm, but the people here are worried about a possible reprisal.
Me papa nye politics ni. Me busa fo nye politics say me say me nye party ni bi. So ye party na wo di won wo di ni ko party say si na NDC awini ana kokodu awini. Wo betumi afra wo nua no na ni na kasa. Utumi fa ni kasa ye pese ye mpa so ye pe peace.
There is nowhere to go, and that's the message this man, a supporter of the NPP parliamentary candidate, Neelante Banaba, is spreading in the community. He was, however, confronted by a woman who did not want his message.
Banama give me advice to thank everybody that whoever gets strength and power to support him at Bukom, he was thanking everybody who came, who did not came, who think about is supposed to came, but did not get a way to came. He was thanking everybody. God bless everybody who support him to make his campaign in Dada Buko. That's the reason why you are seeing me now this afternoon.
Are you facing any challenge moving through town and doing this job?
No, people were talking about they want to beat me, but I'm just having a faith and hope that I was talking what I'm saying. So I'm not afraid of anybody who is going to beat me because I'm saying the truth. I'm not insulting anybody. I'm not fighting with anybody. I'm there for peace and strength and following Panama to get new community to change.
So I realized that when you were moving around, some people confronted you.
Yeah, people were talking, if I don't stop what I'm doing, they will beat me. But what I'm doing is what I'm doing. I'm still continuing doing what I'm doing because I'm not there to fight with anybody. I'm there to explain everything to any youth and any woman in this community to hear what Banama was saying.
For former civil servant Mabel, the tension in this area will surely die down. It's a ritual which repeats itself every election year, she says.
Oh, I've heard about, I know about, but after the election, things will calm down.
And like this woman, many residents of this community just want this.
We want peace.
Fifi Kumsin, Ododo, Accra.
Elsewhere, Nana Akufo-Addo has expressed worry about what he believes has been a failure by President Mahama to reprimand some members of his cabinet who continuously instigate violence. in some constituencies in the country. Addressing supporters at Fidium in the Esutufi South constituency of the Brahafo region, the New Patriotic Party flag bearer made specific reference to attacks he says were masterminded by Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Collins Dowda.
We won't allow those who have brought hardship onto Ghanaians to continue to rule the country. This year's election must be fair. Everything must be transparent for all to see.
The NPP flag bearer will be in the region for 4 days. The Volta region branch of the NPP says the fervent apology from the Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, to the chiefs of the Volta region during his 5-day tour clearly shows the failure of the NDC to deliver on its promises to the region. Communications officer of the NPP in the region, Pius Enam Jiver, claims the NDC panicked after witnessing the rousing welcome giving the presidential candidate of the NPP during his tour of the Volta region, hence its resolve to use cunning ways to win back the hearts of the electorate there.
If you ask me, in addition to the politicking that we are doing, we are also now doing a little bit of journalism. We at least are now telling you that the Chief of Staff entered into Togo, and not him alone, him himself, his eyesight and his previous. So I think that the fair, but I think that the fair, I can agree, but it is also important that you put the question, Chief of Staff, were you in Togo? You ask him, when did you enter into Togo? Which villages did you visit in Togo? And what is your mission in Togo? Well, maybe you should take your time and read the full script. It is clear, I have a clear understanding from the text that the visit into Togo was not during the tour that was on the boat. He went in Togo on the heels of his visit. When he came to the Volta region and ended the tour, he entered into Togo. That is the story. So I think that if he did not enter into Togo, I'm saying to you that I have the right to decide to give you measured information, and in my estimation, I have given you enough information. If you think that the Chief of Staff entering into the Volta, and it being alleged that after the tour he visited the Volta region, if you think that as a country-loving journalist, it's not news enough to want to pursue, that is your editorial discretion. But I think that we also reserve the right to give you the information that we believe can incite your own works. If I give you all the information and they say, oh, that's NPP people talking, I believe that if you follow this up, you will find out when the Chief of Staff entered into Togo. You will find out who he spoke to and what he did. At that point, I believe the story will now be coming from a fair-minded journalist in the center and not an MPP apparatchik like myself. So in my judgment, we have given you enough information to begin the discussion of all that is happening.
Now, the National Democratic Congress has however refuted claims by the opposition New Patriotic Party that the Volta region has been neglected by the NDC government. According to the Volta regional chapter of the NDC, both the Mills and Mahama-led government have allocated the Volta region enough development projects in all sectors to merit their vote in the upcoming elections. Speaking at a news conference in the regional capital, Hope, chairman of the Communications Committee of the Volta region campaign team, Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, attested that the numerous projects scattered across the region is evidence that President Mahama and the NDC has kept faith with the people of the region.
Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa said about 209 educational infrastructure are being constructed, of which some are completed and others at various stages of completion. He pointed out the completion of the University of Health and Allied Sciences campus. 6 out of the 15 community-day senior high schools are some major projects in the educational sector of the region. In the road sector, Mr. Ablakwa mentioned about 60 road projects at various stages of completion and assured of a timely completion of the Phase 1 of Ho Airport project.
The Volta region has been blessed to receive the construction of an aerodrome, which is popularly known as the Ho Airport, and we have gone to see the progress of work. The contractors, Amandi Construction Limited, are on site and are busily working to deliver on that pledge. We have also seen the bitumen surfacing of many of our roads, including the Joapon-Fojoku Road, the Bato-Dover-Sugakope Road, the Aduto-Bepo Road, the Fiave to Adidopo Road.
He assured government is making conscious efforts to increase potable water coverage, citing the Pando Toji water treatment plant, which was recently commissioned by President Mahama in the Adidome water project.
President Mahama has not left out the Volta region in his rather impressive water coverage record. Most of you may have seen from the Green Book, the Accounting to the People book, that water coverage in Ghana has been moved from 58% since President Mahama took over the realms of office on the 7th of January 2013 to around 80% as we speak.
He's optimistic President Mahama will pull 1 million votes in the Volta region in the December 7 general election, considering the numerous development projects being undertaken by the NDC in the region.
Vice President Kwesi Arthur has praised outgoing U.S. President Barack Obama for his sterling performance as the 44th president of that country. Donald Trump won the race to the White House on Wednesday after a hard-fought battle against Democrat Hillary Clinton. Addressing supporters on the campaign trail in the Western region, Mr. Arthur likened President Mahama to Mr. Obama and urged the electorate there to vote for him and the NDC's parliamentary candidate Ataka Nsayem Kwame Jokoto to ensure speedy development of the area. Up next is business.
Hello again, good evening. Sincere apology for the loss of sound at the beginning of the business report. Now to the very first story. Projected revenue from the Jubilee field may not be affected that badly after all. That's the conclusion drawn after going through the latest trading updates of tallow oil. There's more in the following Business Desk report.
According to Tallow, despite the cut in production, it still expects the daily crude production to hang around 74,000 barrels of crude oil till the end of this year. The development could mean that the projected revenue the country was expecting might not be affected despite current works being carried out on the Jubilee turrets bearing. The company adds that it is expecting to receive the lost revenue from its insurers, which will minimize any expected loss. On 10, the oil exploration firm says daily production should reduce to about 15,000 barrels a day on the average, down from the 50,000 it recorded when it started production from August 18 this year. As at October 6 this year, Tallow has exported some 650,000 barrels of crude from the 10 area. Speaking after the release of the statement, Chief Executive of Tallow, Aiden Heavy, says they expect an improved cash flow from 10 by last quarter.
And still in the oil sector, lead partner of the Sankofa Ginyami oil and gas field, ENI Ghana, says it is close to starting commercial production on the country's third hydrocarbon development. Managing Director of ENI Ghana, Fabio Cavana, says all necessary equipment will soon arrive in the country to aid this vision.
Of the project, the FPSO is coming in Ghana in March 2017, and then it has to be installed, and all the facilities installed, so the first oil is confirmed in August. And we're working hard also for the gas portion, and the gas, the first gas is planned in the first half of 2018. And we are going to deliver at least 171 million of standard cubic feet per day from 2018 to 2036. That from ENI, we built with our partners a project which has a commercial viability. It's a technically viable project which will provide a lot of benefit to the country because the gas we will be able to deliver is able to supply almost 1 gigawatt of power. So having the gas today, you will solve the doom-solve problems.
And in another development, small and medium-scale enterprises in the oil and gas industry have been challenged to explore alternate sources of financing their projects to maximize economic benefits of the resource. Access to funding has proved challenging to many of the enterprises because some banks find their operations risky to support. Speaking with Joy Business Corporate Finance Manager at the PricewaterhouseCoopers, Thomas J. Boateng, says SMEs, he noted, the companies in question may consider options such as partnerships in executing projects. This was on the second day of the Stakeholder Summit on Local Content and Participation ongoing in Takoradi.
Be addressed upfront. You sit down and you say, okay, is there a finder's fee for the guy who brought the opportunity? That will be taken out. But after that, how do we share the proceeds? Who is contributing how much? And who is taking what risk? So if all these issues are laid on the table up front and they are addressed in written agreement, then I don't see any reason why contracts can't be shared. Yeah.
So transparency in all this is very, very key for this to succeed.
Yeah, no, transparency is very key, and upfront disclosures. Because remember, this is not a joint venture. These are individual companies that are operating on their own. They are not coming together as one company or as a project company. They're just coming together to jointly develop and execute contracts that they do get. So, of course, the terms of engagement have to be laid upfront. The transparency is very key. Let us all be clear around the issue of risks and contribution and also sharing of the returns. There are instances of companies, local content companies coming together. I can't mention names, but there have been instances.
I'll give you just one.
No. Yeah, too, because of disclosure issues, but we can't give names. But there are examples, and we do encourage that. These are separate licensed operating companies. The challenge is they individually do not have the financial capability to deliver the contract or take advantage of their participation opportunity. So that's why they are sharing that opportunity. So it happens even in spite of their individual existence.
Away from petroleum industry, government today got more than the amount it was looking for in its historic 10-year bond. Sources say it had 726 million Ghana cedis worth of bid from investors. It, however, accepted 438 million cedis. This was the first time the state was issuing a cedi bond that will be paid over a 10-year period. Government will, however, be paying an interest of 19% on the bond. The bids gotten are more than the initial 200 million which was being sought for. Now, even though government is silent on how it is going to use proceeds of the fund, there are speculations it is going to support government's financing needs, while others are saying that it will be advanced towards clearing part of the outstanding TOR debt. Government is hoping to raise some 60 billion cedis in bonds and treasury bills for this year. The National Communications Authority, NCA, has given government agencies 1 year to phase out manual processing of all national licenses and identification documents. This means all applicants for either radio or television broadcasting licenses will have to do so through the NCA online portal. In this regard, the NCA has been engaging stakeholders in the telecommunications industry to explain its new directive. Ebenezer Saputi has more.
There is no doubt the communications industry remains one of the vibrant sectors of the economy, currently recording brisk business activity. According to the National Communications Authority, the move to adopt paperless application system is to reduce the hassle officials go through in processing large forms of applications for licenses and permits. Deputy Director of the NCA in charge of technical and engineering, Henry Kando, spoke to Joy Business after a forum which seeks to introduce stakeholders to the web customer portal of the authority. He said this will also encourage clients to have easy access to state agencies and eventually improve service delivery.
You know, this time it is very difficult to process applications where we're having thousands of applications coming and they are all in the paper format. So one of the things is to encourage speed to application processes, discourage paper systems, then encourage our stakeholders to have the ease of checking the status of the application any time that they fill.
What sort of applications are we talking about here?
All the services that we render, aeronautics, maritime, land mobile, dealership, sound and TV, audio broadcasting, all the services we render.
We have all the structures in place to ensure that this works smoothly.
We have the structures. What you need for online this thing, a very good internet bandwidth, a very good speed, and, which we have, and the management system that we have. So all is in place for us to roll it out, and that's why we're doing it.
According to the NCA's roadmap, customers will no longer have to travel from their various locations to the capital city to do business. Henry Kano explains how people could access the online platform from any location with their mobile phones.
If you are in the remote area, thank God we have very good mobile system, 3G, 4G coming up. On your phone, you can just do it. Or you move to our closest office, any of the regional offices. And then, as we said, we'll put the systems there for you to apply and people to help you apply for your application. And that will be about how many percent of our stakeholders. That will be a very minute percentage of the stakeholders.
The forum is expected to be organized in all 10 regions to engage the citizenry on the new policy measures taken by the authority.
Adequate funding exists to build the capacity of prospective entrepreneurs in technology and vocational skills. That's according to the Executive Director of the Council for Technical and Vocational Education Training, COTVET. He was speaking to Joy Business at the launch of the Skills Development Fund Skills and Technology Fair in Accra on Wednesday. Ameli Josu has more.
Access to funding to start and expand small and medium-scale enterprises have continued to be the bane of Ghana's private sector development. This is because of some unfavorable economic and financing conditions inhibiting small businesses startups to access loans from banks. This financing gap is what the Skills Development Fund of COTVET seeks to bridge. As the SDF Skills and Technology Fair organized by COTVET, Executive Director Sebastian Day gave an assurance that adequate funds currently exist under the fund to help small, medium enterprises.
I think about 5 years ago, the Skills Development Fund was instituted as part of the larger Ghana Skills and Technology Development Project, which COTVET has been implemented in the last 5 years. So the Skills Development Fund, received a lot of financial support from DANIDA, the World Bank, and our government to reach out to Ghanaian entities that largely have some deficiency in skills and technology. The Skills Development Fund, as it is instituted now, is a challenge fund. Okay, what that means is that be you an individual or a company or an institution, public or private, you can apply, so long as your application satisfies certain conditions. And those conditions are simply for you to prove that you would bring about productivity increase, you will bring about job creation, you will bring about income increase to the end users.
And that's all in business for now. For more business news updates, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji-Riafi. Thanks for watching and keep waiting because there are more stories coming up.
Well, thanks to Emmanuel Bajiriafi and the business team for bringing us business news. Now, on to some more political stories. Having gotten its flag bearer back onto the presidential ballot for the 2016 election, the People's National Convention says it is set to let Ghanaians know about what it has to offer. The party at a news conference on Thursday says the policies contained in the manifesto to be launched next week will give prominence to agriculture and industrialization. Dr. Edward Mahama, who was initially disqualified due to some errors on the party's nomination forms for the presidential nomination form, secured the 6th slot during balloting for positions on Wednesday. Joy News' Maxwell Agwagba was at the news conference and has come through with this report.
Addressing the press conference here in Accra, General Secretary of the party, Atiq Mohammed, gave the scoop on what will be contained in the PNC manifesto. He says the documents will focus on the development of cottage industries.
The growth rate is lamentable. And so our manifesto is coming to give Ghanaians options that we can industrialize. And the model in doing so is very simple. Cottage industrialization, modeled along what we call growth poles. You don't just say one district, one factory, or one village, one tractor, like the NDC and NPP are saying. We are saying that your targeting of industrialization must be targeted. So that if you want to have industries, cottage industries, they must be sited at places where they have comparative advantages over. You go to Palugu, they are very good in the production of tomato. You site a tomato factory in Palugu, and this is elementary economics.
The party also weighed in on their position on the ballot paper, describing 6 as divine.
In God's divine calculations, the party with the capacity to deliver this much-needed economic independence that will assure every Ghanaian of work and happiness is the PNC. Hence, his direction to us to pick the number 6, a number that corresponds with the day we won political independence nearly 6 decades ago. And may I also add, ladies and gentlemen, that God concluded creation on the 6th day. And the last things God created were man and woman. And he said to them, go and be superior over all other creations. It is a testimony that by our choice of number 6, God is telling us that we shall prevail over all other contestants in this year's election.
On the issue of alleged embezzlement by an executive member of the PNC, General Secretary Atiq Mohammed says the party has constituted a committee to investigate the matter.
The other issue is that to the extent that that issue you are talking about was reported, tells you disposition towards issues such as that. It means we do not tolerate, neither do we cover up issues like that. So to the extent that we reported it, it tells you we want to do something about it, and indeed we are doing something about it. The party has constituted a committee to work on this, and I'm sure eventually that wrong will be righted.
Meanwhile, Dr. Edward Mahama says bringing former PNC presidential candidate Hassan Ayarga on board his campaign won't be a priority. Mr. Ayarga was one of several aspirants who could not make it back onto the ballot paper after their disqualification. Dr. Edward Mahama spoke to Maxwell Agwagba.
After a congress in the Upper West region, Hassan Ayarga, who was a member of the PNC, a former flag bearer of the party, broke away from the party because of some disagreements, formed his own party, the APC. Now the APC is no longer in the race, and we all know that politics is about numbers. So now that he's no longer in the race, will the PNC extend an olive branch to Hassan Ayarga to bring him on board to make sure that the PNC cruises to victory?
We did that after Congress. We asked him to come on board. We are not just targeting Hassan Ayarga and the APC membership. We are targeting members in NDC, MPP, all the parties, because, to be frank, you cannot win with just one party.
So would you be extending an olive branch to Hassan Ayarga?
My olive branch is to all Ghanaians who are listening to me and who have a vote.
Not specifically Hassan Ayarga?
No, my target is all Ghanaians, because Hassan Ayarga doesn't have enough members to make me president of Ghana. You need at least 4 million plus votes. So I'm looking to all Ghanaians. My constituency is Ghana. So my message is to all Ghanaians.
You talked about numbers. On the issue of numbers, in the 1996 election, you polled 3% of the total votes cast. Now, away from that election, in the subsequent elections, we saw a steady decline in the number of votes that you garnered at that election. This is your fifth attempt at the presidency. What makes you think that you can increase or possibly do better than you've done in the past, because you've not garnered even more than 5% of the total votes cast in all the elections that you've contested in?
You are from Joy, right?
Yes.
1996 when I ran, Joy was only one or so of radio stations, private news radio stations, or two. Actually, Joy was there, Gold was there. But today, do you know the number of radio stations there are in Ghana? So my message now has the ability to reach many more Ghanaians. They'll be in good hands because I'm a doctor. Ghana is sick. And when you are sick, you don't go to a lawyer or a communicator. You go to a doctor. Ghana is suffering from what I call economic diabetes, which is poverty in the midst of abundant human and natural resources. Yes.
Interesting perspective you have on media pluralism. Yes. Finally, in case this election goes into a runoff, I just want to have an idea where the CPP would go to. I mean, we'll be having some affiliations and some parties aligning with others. Some say that the PNC is more tilted towards, the NDC. You have a better relationship with the NDC than the other political parties because even one of your members in the spirit of all-inclusive governance, he's at the presidency. Alassane Azone is at the presidency. So we see the PNC tilting more towards the NDC. In case of a runoff, is the PNC going to support the NDC or the MPP? Or maybe the PPP, perhaps?
You talked about Alassane Azone. Yeah. In 2000, the PNC supported the MPP. 2008, we have our minister, our member with the NDC. We have given to both sides. It's now time for them to give to us. So we will be in the runoff, if there is a runoff, and we'll be asking one of them to support us.
Now, debates have become an important part of the electoral process worldwide. Ghana is no exception. Though there have been no presidential debates yet this year, some debates have been organized at the constituency level by the National Commission for Civic Education. These debates have, however, been fraught with disputes between some candidates, arguments, and complaints about security. My colleague Ernest Menu chronicles some of them.
Unfortunately, to hear that the program did not come on, I'm very, very disappointed. I'm very, very disappointed in the organizers of this program because I think that it should come on tomorrow.
A resident of Bawe disappointed that the parliamentary debate organized by the NCCE was called off due to the misunderstanding with partners Codeo and CDD.
The program scheduled for the parliamentary debate in Wejak Bawe could not come on because of what I would describe as the misbehavior of the NCCE regional chairperson. That we had understanding that it was a collaboration between Codeo, CDD, and NCCE. But unfortunately, the regional director of the NCCE had a different interpretation to the relationship.
When the CDD came to our office, they told them that they should go and bring an MOU so that we can disclose to UU. CDD never came back to our head office. We are supposed to, so if we are organizing our program, we are supposed to have our backdrops and things. Then he started insulting me. I am incompetent. I am irresponsible. Have I seen NCC organizing such a program like this before? Then I said, wait a minute. If I am incompetent, irresponsible, NCC cannot hold a program like this, why would you want to associate yourself with somebody who is incompetent and irresponsible? If you want to pack out, please pack out. Then they came and started taking their things off.
Apart from that, only the NDC parliamentary candidate Obobia Dakon showed up. Her opponent, NPP's Tina Mensah, cited security reasons due to the tension and threats among supporters. Just 2 days ago, the NCC debate at the Sunyani East constituency was called off due to the violent clashes between supporters of the NPP and an independent candidate there. The wagon shot with some securing machete wounds. The district director of NCCE asked the police to tighten security in the area.
So it's very, very pathetic for this thing to happen. And it tells us that we cannot say that we come 7 December, everything will be okay. It means that we will tell our brothers and sisters who are in the security agencies to also watch it, because they have been here to witness what happened here. So it tells them that they have a lot of work to do.
Only yesterday, similar tensions in Ewutu-Senya constituency and concerns over security by the MPP's George Anda caused him to back out, forcing the debate to be postponed. Other candidates, such as the MP for Civic constituency, Alhaji Collins Dauda, and the CPP candidate Raymond Kofi Dankwa, have pulled out of the debate for various reasons, with security being key.
The Chief Fire Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, Dr. Albert Brown Gazy, has cautioned personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service to stay away from partisan politics and display a high level of professionalism during the December polls. He also warned any form of misbehavior or unprofessionalism will be severely dealt with. He's on a 3-day official working visit to the region. Rafiq Salam from WA reports.
Addressing personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service, Chief Fire Officer Dr. Albert Brown Gazy stated that there is a clear imbalance of the manpower distribution of personnel of the service, particularly to the regions, and hence the need to embark on massive transfers to cure that imbalance.
Accra has close to 35% of the total manpower strength of fire service in Ghana. That is why those of you who are outside Accra need support from those who are there. But I want all of you to understand that whether they like it or not, those who do need to be transferred to support the operational activities of other regions will be moved. My administration will not limit personal manpower distribution to only particular regions, leaving the others.
On the issue of non-performing officers, Dr. Gazy said promotion of personnel will now depend on how productive they are.
And everybody will account for the pay that it takes by working. You won't take the salary at the end of the month without working. We'll measure your performance, we'll measure your productivity, and we're going to evaluate your performance. The scheme is going to be there. If you are going to be promoted, we'll look at your productivity. And the productivity will determine whether you are fit for promotion or not. If you are in a station, you are in a region, and the statistics are getting higher and higher, you will have to explain why those statistics are getting higher. And that's the target. And commanders who don't put in proactive measures to reduce incidents of fire management will be removed. I'll move them out. If you spend 3 months at the station and there is an increase in fires for no apparent reason, I'll move you out.
Turning to the December polls, he urged personnel to be non-partisan and professional, warning those who failed will be severely dealt with.
We must exhibit a high level of professionalism. I don't think we would encourage indiscipline. Some of you will go to the polling station drunk, loitering, malingering. When this comes to our notice, we will deal with you appropriately. We are not supposed to engage ourselves in partisan politics. Our duty is to help Mother Ghana. Our duty is to protect Mother Ghana.
Upper West Regional Commander of the Ghana National Fire Service, Assistant Chief Fire Officer James Emmanuel Kwao, gave an overview of incidences of fire that occurred in the region last year.
The Upper West region has, from the first to the third quarter of this year, recorded a total of 103 fires incidents, resulting in damage estimated at 886,051 Ghana cedis, with domestic fires topping the list with 56 incidents. However, for the same period, due to our proactiveness and intensification of fire safety education and prevention activities, property worth 2,524,700,000 was saved.
Earlier, the Chief Fire Officer paid a courtesy call on the Deputy Upper West Regional Minister, Dr. Musebu Mohamed Alpha, and the Wana Nafusini Siripilpu, where he was installed as a sub-chief under the scheme name Buna, meaning Fire Chief. He also commissioned the new Upper West Regional Fire Headquarters in Wa. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam, Wa.
Up next is entertainment. Right, Ms. G is here with entertainment and all the juicy gossips that we get to hear from here from time to time.
Definitely.
So what juicy gossips do you have?
Okay, so let's start with Nigerian actor Hans Enuku. Hans has been in Ghana for a while now. I'm sure he's been here over 5 years. There was a time last year where he was reported to have been infested with HIV/AIDS. That was cleared. He's in, one trouble or the other. Okay. Now, I remember last year as well, he went shooting a movie with some guys. They didn't seek permission, they didn't have a permit. And they went shooting. It was an action movie. And then the people in the neighborhood of Spintex reported to the police. The police, an armed robbery. Yes, came for all of them. And this time around, we see Hanks in an NPP paraphernalia. He's not Ghanaian though. What influence can he have? Well, he's been responding to that and some other issues.
And the most important thing is to be amongst the people who preach peace. It's about Ghana, one Africa, one people. And wherever you find me, be it NPP, be it NDC, be it CPP, PPP, I'm preaching peace all the way. I'm not a politician. I'm a filmmaker, and we use this platform to preach peace to the people, to the youths, knowing that they watch my movies, they're my fans. Wherever I go, I preach peace. I'm going to be doing that even with other parties, because peace is very important for development. It's very important for the growth of the youths and the future of Ghana. So we love Ghana, we love everybody, and we want us to reign in peace.
A colleague of mine said you live around Spintex,
yeah.
And most of the time in the nights, around 11, you're seen walking with a couple of friends holding big, wood or like stuff. And my friend was asking, what is it about? Is it a movie, or you guys are there to protect yourselves, or what is going on?
Oh, maybe it was probably once, maybe we were just preparing to go on a shoot or something, and they probably walked by and found us in that situation. Sometimes we have night scenes, and we keep shooting and through the early mornings. So it's probably one of the scenes are nothing else, but nothing serious. I mean, that I'm a loving person, so it's all good.
So do we know if he's getting his film permits?
Well, they did. They got released, they got the permit. The film is actually going to be premiered. For the first time I've heard a movie going to be premiered at the Labadi Beach. I've never heard that before.
Maybe it's a grand one.
Well, let's hope to see that one. So it's an action movie called Nightlife in Accra.
Are you saying it's going to be premiered at the beach itself?
Exactly.
Not the hotel?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. So I haven't heard that ever.
Do they have a permit for that?
Oh. At least they have a gate fee they are taking, so I'm sure they have permit for that. But let's move away from Hanks and talk about our own dancehall artist who is always in the news for one reason or the other. Be good. When was the last time Shatta Wale was? Okay, he won awards, so when is award winning there is a good reason.
SM for life.
SM for life, Shatta movement. And Shatta Wale always talks about acquiring property. I remember that recently when he was ranting on social media, he was calling on another artist to go get properties for himself. Now, he's bought yet another house. I know he got one in Trasacco. He has a new one. And this time around, Shatta recorded a song and put under this mansion and placed the video on his Instagram page. So let's see the house and let's hear the song beneath it. All right, so this is what it says. Shatta's latest property owner in town, $1 million mansion. Shatta Mansion. This is just the beginning. Say champion. God bless. So that's Shatta, with that one.
Right, so this is a $1 million mansion.
That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying.
Do we know where it's located?
That's what we do not know yet. But, Becky and Shatta have a great relationship. So Becky is working on getting an interview with Shatta tomorrow. So
and probably an exclusive tour of the house.
Well, hopefully we'll get to know all about this new $1 million mansion that Shatta has placed, on social media. So that's a song.
My name at the topic like a daily graphic. Yo, soon me see them, but me not kick. All I own me not afraid. Pussy will go look at work. That's fire mansion, $1 million. Bank account full up and we still a prosper. Every day them a see it right at the corner. My name at the topic like a daily graphic. Yo, soon me see that.
So that Shutters house, you know.
I mean, Ghanaian musicians are making a lot of money now.
Shutter is making, okay, lots of them are making loads of money. But Shutter, you do a kind miss more, you know, don't chop the money alone. Still in Nigeria, but Wale Soyinka. Wale Soyinka is a Nobel Prize award winner. He's an author, of course, a lot of people know Wale Soyinka. But Wale Soyinka is in the news, and I just hope that he finds a way around this one.
All right, good. So this is it.
Okay, tell me.
Let me give you.
Tell me,
so
tell
Wale
me, tell me.
Soyinka was saying that he was going to cut up his green card if Trump won, and Trump has won.
And Trump has
people
won.
are asking him, okay, we're expecting you to
Exactly.
cut up your green card and get out of the US.
And he's saying, give me some time. You know, let's get the man inaugurated as president. On the 20th of January 2017, I will be ever ready to trash, you know, my green card, and I'll get back home. So it's like, I'm buying time to get myself ready. That's what he's saying. Yes, because a lot of Nigerians...
Why does he want to wait until
No, he says now,
inauguration?
No, the man is president-elect. Let him assume the seat.
Okay.
And then you can now ask me to go home. It's like, I'm getting ready, you know, getting everything ready. But it's quite unfortunate. I'm not sure he expected that Donald Trump will win.
Well, yeah, there were lots of people who didn't expect.
And so he thought he would get away with this one. I'm sure come 20th January, he'll tell us something else.
Well, maybe too, he will live by his word and leave the country. Maybe you go elsewhere.
Well, okay, like somebody I heard today say, okay, they'll go to Canada, so you can also go elsewhere.
Lots of people
you know,
want to go to Canada, so
you can also go elsewhere.
Well join them.
Anyway, all right. So, Basket Mouth also wants to become president. Here in Ghana, DKB wants to be president. It looks like most of our comedians want to become president because Donald Trump has won. So Basket Mouth on his social media page, Instagram to be precise, posted that he wants to be president. So that's Basket Mouth. Says, my esteemed people, in fulfillment of my threat/promise regarding the outcome of the just concluded U.S. presidential elections, I am announcing my candidacy for the office of president of our dear country in 2019 general election. Consultations are ongoing and I'll announce at a future date under what party. Hashtag make Nigerian bright again. And of course, bright is his name. And again, beyond Basket Mouth, remember that Kanye had said to us some time back that in 2020, he would love to become president. Looks like that's going to work for him because look at this poster. Kanye West for president in 2020. He's got it all. Now read. He's got it all. The modesty of Donald Trump, the boundless likability of Hillary Clinton, the political experience of Ben Carson, the win ability of Clinton. What's that? Who is that? Lincoln. Okay, so there are lots of reasons.
No, he should have added that I've also got a Kardashian.
Oh, okay, that didn't count. But before I go finally, let's show you this picture. Now, there's a petition to, it's just the last picture there. It's a petition to our own Afarijan to come help Clinton count the votes.
The memes that are coming up about
exactly,
the Donald Trump victory. But then the other thing, there's this other joke that's making the rounds. They're saying that if Melania Trump is now going to be first lady, and you can also, anybody can move from Vienna City.
Oh, you had Vienna City. I had people around the Togo embassy. Anyway, that's the point to say about it.
Thank you very much. All right.
And also, all around Africa, there'll be great games. Apart from Egypt versus Ghana, there are few bigger ones than Nigeria versus Algeria. Algeria have touched down in Nigeria in the city of Uyo, and really, I mean, I can't overestimate the importance of this one for Nigerians. They have a young crop of players coming up, and there's so much happening for Nigeria, and they feel that this is their year to make it a clean sweep in the group, but it won't be easy. Let's go now to Nigeria to get a taste of what's happening now in the Super Eagles camp. Colin Udo is a man from Kwese Sports, and he joins us. Thank you very much, Colin.
Thank you very much, Gary.
Right. Have you landed in Uyo yet?
Oh, yes, I did that. I got to Uyo yesterday.
Fantastic. Give us a sense of, to my Ghanaian viewers and those around the world, what this match means for Nigeria, particularly the circumstances in which Nigeria finds itself at the moment.
Oh, I think it's a very, you might say, critical point for Nigeria because having failed to qualify for 2 African Nations Cup, and if you want to even go back as far as that 3 African Nations Cup, it's almost like this. This team needs to provide some sort of redemption to the Nigeria people by qualifying for Russia 2018. And the new coach has come in. He's done a fantastic job in a short period of time. The team has gone to Zambia, started off on a good footing, and now there's a real sense of optimism that if they can beat Algeria here on Saturday, their next game is also a home game against Cameroon. If they get that, that will be 9 straight points. And then, you know what, they probably just need another point against Cameroon away from home. And then come back to Nigeria and do the business, finish the business against Zambia, which would put them on 13 points. Even if they lose to Algeria away, it wouldn't really matter. So I think the idea is that if this team of young, exciting players can do the business against Algeria, then, you know, they can do just about anything. And there's a lot of optimism around the team, around the country about this new set of players. So I think it's a matter of hopeful optimism, and we'll just see how it goes. But this is football, and we've seen in the past that, you know, anything is really, really possible.
Colin, take us through what your group looks like briefly.
Well, right now, as you very well know, Nigeria is on top with 3 points from that win against Zambia on the opening day. Algeria and Cameroon are joint second with a point each. Cameroon surprised Algeria and even themselves, I should think, by going there and getting a draw. And they could have won it, actually, if you saw that game. They were really, really good. So, yeah, they're both, you know, in second place. And Zambia is bottom of the pile with no points. So they desperately need to get something away against Cameroon if they are to keep their place. I mean, you have to keep any hopes alive of making something out of this group. So they travel to Cameroon needing to get at least a result to put them in good standing. On the other hand, I just outlined what's at stake for Nigeria. Algeria, the more fancy team in this group at the beginning of these qualifiers, got that surprise shock result at home against Cameroon. So now they are now also desperately needing something to get themselves back on track. If they lose this, it makes their chances of qualifying very, very steep. So they put everything into this. They sent an advance party to Nigeria, I think about a month ago, to come look over the stadium, look over the hotels, and then they booked, in fact, the hotel where the Nigeria Super Eagles usually stay, Algeria had it booked well in advance, you know. So right now, even the Nigeria contingent, apart from the players and team who have been lodged there, the rest of the Nigeria contingent are finding it very difficult to get space in the hotel because it's been taken up by Algerians already. And when I was coming here yesterday, the flight with some Algerian fans, even the hotel where I'm staying, they've got Algerians. So it seems to be anywhere you turn, you stumble into an Algerian. So that's how
Tell me about it.
They're taking.
Tell me about it, indeed. Colin, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. Live from Nigeria and the city of Uyo, where they have a fantastic stadium. All the best against Algeria this weekend, Colin.
That's it for the bulletin. My name is Israel Live. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a good evening.